progress.
Good morning, happy Wednesday. Wave of the arms, you can hear me, or a flap of the hands as it were. There's arms, I see all that good stuff. Thank you. Hope you're having a good week. Saw most of you on Monday. Let's get started. We're gonna start seated, like this. Crisscross applesauce, if that works for you. Sukhasana, they call it simple seat, right? I've said this before, and you probably know this, but asana, seat means seat. So all of the words that you've heard before over and over again have that asana. It's one of the definitions. So it's one of the ways you can define asana. Have that seat in it. So you find your seat, right? Whether it's Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2, you find your place, your comfort. So it's sort of that one of the meanings of seat, where not the physical chair where you're sitting on or you're sitting on your sit bones like this, Sukhasana, but you find that sort of place where you can be, right? Where you can settle in and think about not moving. That's sense. So we're in our Sukhasana, our simple seat, opening up through here. If your knees are a little bit tight, if you can't drop them down, if they're way up above your hips, then go ahead and grab some blocks and place them in. But just a few rounds of breath here. So sitting nice and tall, whether you have your eyes open or closed, take a long, full, deep inhale through your nose. And exhale inside out. And again, inhale to the top. And exhale, let it go. A few more of those, and if you would, start to lift your shoulders up towards your ears on the inhale. So on the inhale, dragging up towards the ears like they're not supposed to, right? And on the exhale, just drop them down and kind of send them down. So use a little bit of effort to drop them down. And again, inhale, lift them up. And exhale, drop them down. One more time, just like that. Inhale, lift them up. And exhale, drop them down. Just roll them one and then the other. A little bit of independent movement here. Maybe bring them both into motion and then changing direction whenever that feels about right. Nice, and then come back to center. Some easy hip circles here. So holding onto your shins as you begin to get this circular motion here. Getting a little bit deeper into your hips. Changing directions whenever that feels about right. Nice. And then coming back to center. On an inhale, sweep both arms up overhead. And on the exhale, side stretch, dropping the right hand down, bring the left arm up and over. Should feel pretty good. You can let that left sit bone be heavy or let it lift slightly. Go ahead and bend your left elbow, bringing your head into your hand, and lift your chin towards the ceiling and get that yummy side stretch. So it feels like you're pointing your elbows straight up. Yeah, breathe into that left side. And on an inhale, press down to rise up. And take this into a twist. Bring the left hand to the outside of that right thigh. And your right hand behind you. Lift on an inhale. Then twisting maybe a little bit more on an exhale. You can take your gaze over the opposite shoulder, whatever feels best to you. Just breathing into this space for one more full cycle of breath. Beautiful. Release the twist, but keep your left hand on top of that right thigh. And then take the right arm up and over to the left. So you got this kind of cross arm thing going here, and hopefully you're feeling this in your back. As you take some cows and cats, inhale, you can kind of lift your knees slightly if you'd like to. And on the exhale, round in, chin tucks, navel to spine. And again, inhale, open up, look up. Exhale, empty out. One more time, inhale, open up, get some space. And exhale, empty up. Nice, guys. Come back to center. Release the knees, straighten your legs out in front of you. So just waggle out your feet. Remember which shin you had crossed in front. I had started with my left. And we're going to change across the shin. So bring the right in front of the left. Again, accommodate your knees. Some easy hip circles here. Holding on to your shins as you come back. Getting out over it. And coming back to center. Nice. Inhale, sweep both arms up overhead. We'll drop that left hand down, soften the right shoulder as you take the arm up and over to the side. Be sure you're dropping your left shoulder away from here. Press that right sit bone down and then go ahead and bend the elbow. Head into hand, lift the chin and point that elbow towards the ceiling. And breathe through those right ribs. And for one more inhale. And one more exhale. Let's press down and rise up. And take this into the twist. Right hand comes across, left hand behind you, so nice and tall. Wide through your collarbones, maybe take your gaze over that right shoulder. Peel or spin your left bicep towards the back wall. And just broaden through your collarbones a little bit more. Just using that breath to find a little bit more depth in the twist for one more cycle of breath. Exhale and release. Let's take that left arm over to the right knee or thigh. So the left arm's on top. And again, inhale, pull your heart through. Exhale, round. Inhale, open up, look up. Exhale and round. One more cycle of breath. Inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Come to a neutral spine. Baddha Konasana here. So the soles of the feet are going to touch. Drive your heel bones in towards one another. And as you press your heels in towards one another, lift your heart and just melt out and over. Just a nice, easy Baddha Konasana here. Okay. If you've got your elbows, if you've got your elbows to the outside of your knees, just be sure you're not closing off your ears. So you may want to press the knees down, okay? Or bring the elbows to the inside and press your calves down, or just get them out of the way entirely. Feet peel open if that works for you. Heart melts. Breathe into this space. Just surrendering on the exhales, right? Couple more rounds of breath. Some yummy hatha poses here to begin with. Holding a little bit longer. Nice, guys. One more inhale. And one more exhale. You're gonna ragdoll your way up back towards vertical. Bring your knees together, and then if you're sitting on anything like me, you're going to remove that off to the side. Come down onto your forearms if you would. I've got my knees pretty close together, so even closer than hips distance and my feet just about touching. And I'm going to drop this from side to side. I'm just going to drop the knees from side to side. This little modified windshield wipers here. They're pretty good. So getting into that low back space, tailbone into your hips as you add elements of a bit of a twist, but also you hopefully are surrendering into your shoulders and getting a little bit of that sink and opening up that space as you roll through tailbone. Nice, guys. And then come back to center, heel toe your feet towards one another. Cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh. Maybe you grab the outside edges of your yoga mat, otherwise keep your hands on the floor, and just draw your left knee in towards your chest. Try to keep that right shin parallel to the horizon out in front of you, as if you're at the ocean and you're looking towards the horizon. Otherwise, the baseboard of the wall that's in front of you, you want to make it less romantic. Then we're going to straighten that left leg up towards the ceiling. We're not using our hands here. Kick the back wall with your left toes. Use your belly muscles to get a little bit more vertical for one more inhale. Exhale, lower down. Let's do the other side. Left ankle on top of the right thigh. He's getting a little bit of this stretch here. And then drawing that right knee to whatever degree works for you. Maybe that right knee points towards the ceiling, maybe barely get off the floor, depending on how tight that space is. And then we'll straighten our right leg up towards the ceiling. Again, think of kicking the back wall. Navel to spine, you can feel those low belly muscles kind of getting some work done. Hi, pup, kitty cat. One more full deep inhale. Exhale, rebend the knee. Uncross the ankles, take it, excuse me, your feet wider apart this time, and now drop from side to side. So you're letting them fall a little bit more to the sides, your feet wider than hips distance, maybe even as wide as your yoga mat. Nice, guys. From here, let's make our way to tabletop position, hands and knees. Hop up on your fingertips if you would, and go right into your hip circles. If you want to plant your hands, you can. We'll have plenty of opportunities for that. Toes tucked under to get that yummy stretch through your feet. Take this out nice and wide to the sides. As you plunge the fingertips in towards the floor, send your sit bones towards your heels. Nice. And then come back to center. So if you were up on fingertips, go ahead and plant your hands. Be sure you're rooting down through the tips of the fingers, a little bit more weight in the index finger and the thumb. On the inhale, pull your heart through. We did this a few classes ago. You're going to draw your heels to the outsides of your hips. And on the exhale, tops of the feet are going to press in towards the floor. As you round, maybe you lift your knees slightly off the floor. And then lower the knees, bring your heels to the outsides of your hips. And then push the floor away. Maybe start to straighten the legs a little bit more, moving more towards a plank. Lower your knees. Knees bend, heels toward your butt to the outside edges. And again, tops of the feet press, push the floor away. Let's do one more of those. Heels pull as you sink your heart and lift your chin. Exhale, tops of the feet round, whether you're lifting your knees or not. And then toes tuck under. Let's send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Find stillness or movement, whatever works for you, but go through your little checklist here. Breathe into this space, get nice and long through the side body. Get a little bit of elevation in the hips. One more cycle of breath, and then stay in your dog and see if you can turn this into a resting pose. It's effortful for sure. Ground through fingertips, incorporate the muscles through the side body. One more cycle of breath here. And then we're going to walk the hands back towards the feet and take a forward fold. Maybe widen your feet here. Walk your hands back and just dropping down in towards the floor. Wiggle out your hands, anything that feels good to you. Shake your head, no, not your head, yes. Sway from side to side, all of those good things. As you breathe. Deep inhales and exhales. Couple more rounds of breath here. Nice, guys. Stay folded. Release your hands to the floor. Walk yourself back into your plank, top of a push-up. Your feet are hips distance apart. Strong in your plank. Push the floor away. Draw navel to spine. And then let's come forward past the wrist. Maybe you drop your knees. Take your time as you descend all the way down to the floor. Pull yourself into a low cobra here, okay? So using mostly the muscles along your spine. And then pop up onto your fingertips, a little bit wider apart, and just sink into your shoulders from side to side. So lift, and then drop the ear, and lift. Drop the ear, and lift, and drop the ear, and then come back to center. Okay. Tops of the feet are going to press in towards the floor. You're going to firm your thighs, your kneecaps lift, tailbone nice and long, right? All of those good things. Maybe you lift your fingertips off the floor. Maybe you take your arms out to the side like an airplane here or back alongside your body. The idea being you're recruiting those muscles along the spine. You're pressing your feet a little bit more, not using your hands unless you want to. A couple more rounds of breath here. Don't push your belly down. Get a little bit more lift if that works for you. And then planting your hands alongside your bottom ribs for cobra, push the floor away, tuck your toes under, keep the box shape here, hips up and back as bent knee downward facing dog. So your ribs are touching your thighs, your belly's touching your thighs, and then drive one heel to the floor and then the other heel to the floor. So getting a little bit more back of the leg, independent pistoning of the feet. Okay, inhale, come forward to plank. Drop your right knee, just your right knee to the floor. Drop your left heel down like a warrior 2 foot. Your right hand, you can pop up on your fist or fingertips if you want to get your wrist. Left arm reaches up and alongside your ear. It's a little modified Vashi side plank here. One more deep inhale here. Exhale, drop the gaze, release the hand. You're gonna find your plank and just do the other side. Left knee drops, right heel drops, again, like a warrior two. Modify that left hand if you want to. Right arm alongside your ear. So what are you looking for here? Well, maybe I don't have to tell you, but you're reaching as you ground through the outside edge of the foot, all the side body length. And I, whenever I have the opportunity, like to get a yummy stretch to this space, this QL muscle, space bottom rib to top of hip. So my tailbone can kind of sneak a reach towards the right heel, get a little bit more length here. Exhale and release. Step back to your plank once again. We go forward, whether you drop knees or not. Lower yourself down to the floor. Pull your heart through. And again, pop up on fingertips first. 3 rounds, just dropping ear to the floor. And then to the other side. Following breath. Take this as high or low as you'd like to. And then after that third one for 3 rounds of breath, hold here in your cobra with fingertips or arms out to the side or arms alongside your body, just for 3 breaths. Long inhale and exhale. Breathe into the space, maybe lift a little bit higher. Firm the thighs, tops of the feet press down. Nice. Let's place the hands alongside bottom ribs for cobra. Tuck the toes under, hips up and back, downward facing dog. So that's going to be our little vinyasa this morning. 3 rounds of those little shoulder openers, and then 3 breaths in a cobra, whether you want to use hands or not. Okay, let's send the left leg up, back and behind us, bend the knee and stack the hips. Look up between the hands, round as you bring the foot forward, come into a lunge. So as you know, I've got the back knee lifted, hands can stay grounded or float alongside your body, whatever works for you. Just energetically dragging that left heel towards your right toes. Full deep inhales. And full exhales. Take 1 more cycle of breath wherever you are. Let's release the hands, drop the knee towards the ground. Maybe untuck the back toes as you press down, rise up and reach out. Keep all of this lift here. Just bring your hands behind your back and puff up your chest. Interlace your fingers, reach your knuckles down towards the floor just to the inside of your right knee. Choose to stay here or maybe sink a little bit more deeply in towards the floor. Full inhales. And full exhales. Heart lifts, maybe your gaze lifts. So here's where we're going. Picture the different seats in your eye, your mind's eye, in your head, however you want to think about it. We're going to keep the interlace of the finger if this works for you. We're going to take this into lunge, step up, and then it's a forward fold with the interlaced fingers behind our back. You can remove your hands at any time. Otherwise, along with me, tuck the back toes under, drive through the heel to lift the knee. Step up, hinge and fold. That wasn't too bad. Kind of gave it the surprise away, right? Could have just told you to do this. Full inhales and exhales. Take 1 more cycle of breath here. Stay folded, just release your hands to the floor. Come halfway up to a flat back bend. Maybe hands on your shins, nice and long through the spine. Chest lifts away from the thighs for 1 more inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Let's ragdoll our way up towards standing. Push the floor away, stack vertebra one on top of the other. Reach up, look up, watch fingertips touch. Steeple grip overhead, I'm still here. I'm gonna step off so you can see me. Good doing. Bring your big toes to touch. Arms in line with your ears. Maybe close your eyes. We'll take it back and forth 3 times. I think 3 always became the number for me because when I was a kid and I liked dumb jokes, I'm still a kid who likes dumb jokes. It's always that third schlemiel. It's always that third guy, the third time, the third person who walks in the bar, right? We'll come back to the center, hinge and fold, all the way down to forward. Back on my neck. Halfway up here, left foot stays here, step your right foot back. Drop your right knee down towards the floor. Let's find Ardha Hanuman. Walk that left foot forward, straighten the left leg, melt out and over. And breathe into this space. It was probably Schoolhouse Rock. 3 is a magic number. That song was a banger. Still slaps. Breathe into this space. Pull your belly button towards the back of the room for 1 more cycle of breath. Nice, guys. Okay, so rebend the front knee. We're going to plant the hands. Step back to your plank, whether that's knees lifted or lowered. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, lower down. Remember our little vinyasa we're going to be taking here? Pop up on fingertips 3 times, back and forth. And you can adjust the height of this each time, right? You can keep it nice and low. You're going to get your hands a little bit wider. Try to get your elbows in. And then after that 3rd time, back and forth, let's come back to center. And it's just 3 breaths in our cobra, with or without the hands. So you can do anything with the hands. Float them. You can bring fingertips behind your head and elbows out to the side for a little bit more work. Just breathe. Nice, guys. For 1 more inhale. And 1 more exhale. Plant your hands alongside bottom ribs. Hips up and back. Downward facing dog. A deep inhale through the nose. And an exhale out of the mouth. Let's send the right leg up and back. Bend the knee and stack the hips. Round as you bring that right foot forward up between the hands. Front knee stacks on top. Find your lunge here. So give yourself a hips distance. You can float your arms if you did so on the other side, or keep them grounded. Full inhales and full exhales. Take 1 more cycle of breath here, and then let's drop that back knee down towards the floor. Untuck the back toes if you did so on the other side. We climb our way up into our Anjane. Offer up your heart. Both arms reach out, biceps in line with your ears. So we take all of this up. We get this lift, to get this extension, right? But we keep the lift and then release the hands behind the back. Maybe it's the other thumb on top. Seal the heel of the hands as you drop your knuckles down towards the inside of that left knee. Puff up the back of your shirt. And maybe you sink your hips a little bit forward. And breathe. Maybe you look up a lot or a little. 1 more inhale here. And 1 more exhale. Back toes tuck under. Find a little bit of steadiness here. Step up and fold. Breathe into this space into your shoulders. You can bend your knees as much or little as you'd like to. For 1 more deep inhale. Exhale, release your hands to the floor. Come halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana, flat back. Nice and long with the spine. Exhale and fold. Ragdoll your way up towards standing. Steeple grip once again. Other thumb on top, just like you did with the bind. Bring your big toes to touch. And whether your eyes are open or closed, take this back and forth from side to side. A little bit of balance just to make that mind-body connection. Always want to have a little bit of information traveling both ways from head to toe. So one side, hands to the other. Use your side abdominals to bring it back to center. And then after that 3rd time, rise up, hinge and fold. Halfway up, flat back here. Right foot's going to stay here. Step your left foot back. Let's drop that left knee down towards the floor. Inchworm your right foot forward. Bring your hips back to stack left on top of left knee, or slightly further. And depending on where you're placing your hands, you're either going to be getting a little bit of low back stretch as well. Think of pressing your heel in towards the floor like you're leaving a little dimple in your yoga mat. For 1 more inhale. And 1 more exhale. Let's rebend that front knee. Plant the hands, step back to your plank, whether it's knees lifted or lowered. And again, inhale, come forward. Low belly lifts as you descend down towards the floor. Pull your heart through. Let's get into the little shoulder openers, popping on fingertips. Maybe your hands are a little bit wider this time as you go from side to side. I don't think any of us are saying, you know, my shoulders are already really open and not tight, right? I don't need this. After that 3rd time, you'll just come back to center, find your cobra here. Maybe the hands stay grounded and maybe they lift once again, reach your fingertips back. Some of you may be floating your feet in these as well. Find what works for you for 1 more deep inhale and 1 more exhale. Plant your hands right alongside bottom ribs, hips up and back, downward facing dog. So we're gonna walk our hands back towards our feet. Once again, bend your knees a whole heck of a lot so you drape your ribs on your thighs and you get this nice lift through your back. And then drop down towards the floor. Full inhales and full exhales. Staying at the back of your mats, rising up. You're still at the back of the mat. I'm going to step off so you can see me. Cross your right leg on the front of your left. Hips square, arms overhead. Right hand grabs left. Forearm up and over to the side. So right leg in front. Right hand grabs left arm. Take it up and over to the side. Maybe close your eyes here for a little bit of that balance. Press into your big toes. And then press down to rise up and release. Switch out your legs. Left in front of right. Don't lock either of them out. You may not be able to perfectly get your toes in line, probably not, but just don't lock them out. Both arms reach up overhead here. And left grabs right. Take it up and over. Reaching through your fingertips again. Press down in your big toes for that balance. Press down, rise up, and release. You're still at the back of your yoga mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale and fold. Lift and lengthen to a flat back here. Exhale and fold. Your feet have stayed here. Walk yourself forward into your plank. Strong in your plank. Take one more inhale here. Drop your right knee towards the floor, just your right knee. Float your left leg. So right knee is grounded, left leg. And then from the root of that left thigh bone, let's turn the left toes out to the side. Try to keep your hips even as if you're balancing that tray of mimosas. Bring left knee to the back of the left arms 3 times. Send it back. Again. Send it back. Try to get it above your elbow. Again. Nice. And then send it back. Turn the toes to point down. And then plant the foot on the floor. So left foot's grounded. I still got the right knee grounded. Little airplane twist. Right arm out to the side. Twist open from here. Reach through your fingertips and breathe. Bottom ribs draw through for one more cycle of breath. Drop the gaze and release the twist. Step the left foot up between your hands. Back toes will tuck under. We're going to come all the way up into crescent pose. Sink into this one with the front knee stacked. We did this the other day. We've done everything the other day, right? But what I'd like you to do is be able to bring your hands to the top of your left thigh. Well, what's that going to do? Well, already you may notice the slope of that front knee, in which case let's wiggle this back to bring that left thigh parallel to the floor, if that works for you. You can always bend that back knee as well. And then once you have that, feel free to stay here or reach your arms up overhead, maybe a steeple grip it. Pull that left hip in and under for one more cycle of breath. We're going to come into chair pose and I'm going to keep this steeple grip. So reach forward on an inhale, step up, sink into your chair. Full inhales and full exhales for one more cycle of breath. Exhale, hinge and fold. Lift and lengthen to a flat back. Left foot stays here, right foot steps back. Lunge twist. Feel free to drop the back knee to turn your right hand into a fist, but just take that left arm up. So we're in the twist. I got my left foot down, knee stacked, right foot behind me. Bottom ribs draw through. Bind it if that works for you, whatever feels right. Couple more rounds of breath here. Take one more full deep inhale. Exhale, release that twist. Step back to your plank. So hey, maybe this time you float that left leg as you inhale, come forward. Exhale, lower down. Our same little vinyasa this morning, popping up onto fingertips. Take it from side to side. And then coming back to center, holding here, whether you've got fingertips grounded or back alongside your body, whether you've got feet lifted or lowered. Get long through the back of the neck for one more round of breath. We plant the hands, hips up and back, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here, guys. Stay in your down dog, 3 breaths in child's pose, or take a regular old school vinyasa, coming forward on an inhale, lower yourself down, and then pull your heart through and hips up and back. Okay. From your down dog, unless you're doing from hands and knees, we come forward into our plank. Strong in your plank here, let's drop that left knee to the floor. Float your right leg. From the root of that right thigh bone, spin your right toes out. And then 3 times we bring knee to the back of the arm, as high up as you can get it on an exhale. Send it back and behind you. Exhale. Again, send it back and behind you. And exhale. We send it back and behind us. Land the right foot on the floor. So I still have my left knee down, my right foot grounded. Float the left arm out. Airplane twist open from here. Bottom ribs draw through. Push the floor away as you plunge your fingertips in toward the ceiling. For one more deep inhale. Exhale, drop the gaze and release the hand. Let's step the right foot up between the hands. Back toes will tuck under, transition lunge into Anjane. Again, maybe you bring the hands to the thighs. Why am I doing that? Because I want to get this thigh parallel to the floor. So I'm not putting too much pressure on this front knee. I want to get these thigh bones kind of holding here. So if I wiggle this back foot back, I'm getting hamstring in it and not just thighs pushing into that knee. Choose to keep your hands there, or again, steeple grip overhead. Reach through your fingertips and breathe. For one more inhale and one more exhale. Reach forward, step up. Chair pose, Utkatasana. Sit a little lower or sit a little higher. Listen to your knees, kids. Check your toes. Wrap your outer upper arms forward. For one more inhale, fold on your exhale. Halfway up, flat back. Forward fold. Right foot stays here, left foot steps back. Let's find that twist. Left hand plants, or it's a left fist, or block. Right arm reaches up. Reach through your fingertips. Little puppet strings, lift that left hip and back of the knee a little bit higher. One more full deep inhale. Exhale, drop the gaze and release the hand. Let's step back to that plank. Maybe this time that right leg hovers above the floor as you inhale, come forward. Exhale, lower down. Untuck your toes, pull your heart through. Again, up on your fingertips. Drop to one side. Through center to the other. And exhale as you sink into each side. Breathe into this space. Come back through center. Gaze forward. Find your cobra. Maybe this time your hands support you. Maybe they float. Maybe you turn off that lower circuit breaker, whatever works for you. You're here for one more deep inhale and exhale. Tuck your toes under. Send the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. A deep inhale through the nose and an exhale out of the mouth. We're going to travel to the front of the mat. Bend your knees, look forward, steps, walk, little hops, however you want to get there, and fold. Ragdoll your way up towards standing, one vertebra at a time. Reach up, pull hands to heart center. Okay, tree pose from here. Let me step off. Tree pose from here. We're going to be standing on the right leg first. Keep that hip in and under. Left knee becomes left leg becomes the branch. And again, whatever version, maybe it's just a kickstand of the left foot. Okay. Maybe you're pressing the foot into the shin. Push back with the shin into the foot. Or you're coming all the way up. Whether you have to hold it or want to hold it or not, that's up to you. Tailbone long, keep taking or tracking that knee toward the back. Connect mind, body, head to foot. Breathe in this space. Balance is so important in our daily lives, right? I mean, honestly, once in a while you trip and you catch yourself, right? You're like, that was kind of cool. It's that mind-body connection. I was reaching for something this morning, pulling it off the top shelf, jar fell down, boom, caught it with my left hand about halfway towards the floor. I was like, that's pretty cool. Okay, one more inhale here. And one more, exhale, switch it out. Left leg grounds. Find your right foot where you want to place it, same or different. Press foot into leg, leg into foot. Tailbone long, hip it underneath. Breathe into the space. And of course, needless to say, should I say needless to say? Your arms float. Said it. Yes, it was not needless to say. We should have followed up with something. It's not needless to say. It's like, here's a woman who needs no introduction. You're introducing. Take one more inhale here. Exhale and release. Little malasana here, guys. So as opposed to staying towards center, we take it wide. So heel toe your feet a little bit wider apart. Sink down towards the floor. Now, if need be, grab a block and place it underneath your seat. If need be, K-N-E-E-D, which is not how you spell any way of spelling need, right? But we're taking knee and need and putting it into one word. Squeeze the knees in towards the elbows. Pull up from your root lock. Pelvic floor, pull up. Keep all that energy up, moving the spine. For one more inhale here. And one more exhale. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna land your hands on the floor. On an inhale, straighten the legs. Left foot stays here. Turn the toes straight ahead. Step your right foot back. Drop the heel down. Windmill that right arm or going into warrior two. Rise up, push the floor away, sink into it. I'm going to turn so as not to be rude. Face you lovelies, reaching for your fingertips. And again, try to keep that front leg parallel to the floor. Just notice the difference in the pressure on your knee. It should feel actually a little bit less the more you get towards vertical because you're using more of these muscles. Arms float away if they're not already there. For one more inhale. And one more exhale. Straighten the front leg. Triangle pose. So maybe shorten the stance here. Reach forward as you pull hip back. And fold. Standing postures. These are very different seats, right? This Trikonasana, getting into different areas than you would in that hero two. Take one more cycle of breath. Beautiful. Here's where we're going. You're gonna release that top hand down towards the floor, moving towards pyramid pose. Hop that right foot, your back foot in. Turn your hips to square. I got my left foot forward, my right foot almost forward. Get this left thigh or the ribs and belly so it doesn't feel like you're just dumping down on that thigh. So pull forward and fold. And breathe here. Ground through the big toe mounds. I'm gonna turn back the way you guys all are all. And take one more inhale here. And one more exhale. Lift your heart away from your thigh. We go back into our malasana. So the right foot comes forward, drop down. Again, feel free to add a block underneath you so you're not putting as much pressure on your knees. Full inhales and exhales. Up from your root lock for one more cycle of breath. Exhale, release the hands. Straighten the legs and fold. Right foot stays here. Step your left foot back. Drop the left heel down, then use that left hand to swim your way up into your warrior two. Sink into that front knee again. Maybe widen your stance a little bit. Nice, Sally. Ground through the outside edge. Make sure you're not putting any undue pressure on that left knee. Full inhales and exhales. One more cycle of breath. An inhale takes you up. Triangle pose. Shorten the stance if you need to. For me, I do. Why? Feels a little too tight coming into this one. I can't really sink into it if my legs are too far apart. Probably the same configuration with the arms. Any variations you may have taken on the other side, be sure to include here. And taking one more inhale here. Exhale, release that left hand down. We hop the back foot in, about a third of the way, and fold out and over. That right hip's gonna wanna tick to the right, so tuck it to the left, and then spin your inner thighs towards one another as you melt out and over the front leg. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. Nice. Lift your chest away from your thigh. Step up. Fold once again. Ragdoll your way up towards standing. One vertebra at a time. Reach up. Look up. Watch your fingertips touch. Pull hands to heart center. Nice, guys. Stay at the front of your mat. I'm just going to step off to turn. Your feet are going to be hips distance apart or maybe a little bit wider. Put a gentle bend in your knee. You can step off your mat too. You don't have to stay there. And then just sway from side to side. Get into this movement. You're pretty good. Do a few of these in the morning. It's nice. Nice way to get the soft twists exhaling. Get a little bit of circulation back into your arms. A couple more times. And then slowly coming back to center. Okay, from here, arms will reach up. Bring your feet back to hips distance. And fold. Lift and lengthen to a flat back. Step your right foot back, heel toe your left foot once or twice to the left, and then bring your hand, left arm to the inside of your left leg. So dropping into a lizard, feel free to let that that right knee drop down towards the floor or keep it lifted. Each exhale, you should feel your low belly working here. So I got this left knee stacking on top. I got the left arm on the inside. Feel free to come down to your forearms or whatever works for you. For one more inhale and one more exhale. So we're stepping back to a forearm plank. Feel free if you're in your forearm, on your forearms to step it back. Otherwise, step that left foot back to meet the right and then come down to your forearms. And hold. Whether you've got knees lifted or lowered, you're holding here for 3, 4, 2. For 1. Lower the knees, Sphinx pose. Shoulders stacked on top of your elbows or slightly more out in front of you. Long through the spine, so we get a little bit of lift. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to bend our knees, bringing our heels towards the backs of our shoulders. Look up. Exhale, lower the legs, push the floor away, peel your belly off the ground. Lower on an inhale, continue as you bend the knees and look up. Point flex through your feet. Exhale, straighten the legs again. Push the floor away, belly. Let's do that one more time. Hips lower, look forward, maybe look up, get a little bit more length. Exhale, push the floor away. Come back to your Sphinx. Hands transition to Cobra. Hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Let's take the right foot and place it to the outside of the right hand. So maybe shift that right hand to the right. Doing our lizard on the other side. Mirror what you did on the other side. So again, I got my right arm on the inside of my right leg. That gives me access to a deeper drop in, right? Because my chest isn't bumping into the thigh. Full inhales and full exhales. Couple more rounds of breath. One more inhale here. And again, we're going to transition back to that forearm plank. So if you're already in it, step it back. Otherwise, push the floor away. Step your right foot back to meet. Forearm plank. Maybe it's a little bit different this time with your hands. Flip your palms to face up or interlace or palms pressed down. Choose to stay here for these 3 rounds of breath. If you don't want to walk your way into a quick dolphin, feel free to do that as well. One more inhale. Exhale, lower the knees. This time, rather than doing that breath and knee bending, you're going to bring your right forearm parallel to the front edge of your mat. Bring your forehead to your forearm. Bend your left knee, so your right forearm's at the front edge of your mat. Bend your left knee, reach back for the left shin or top of the foot. Choose to stay here or straightening that right arm out in front of you, lift away from the floor. Try to get a little bit more verticality, a little bit more slope and pitch in the top half of your spine. One more inhale, reverse all that, exhale, let it go. Wiggle your hips. Let's take that to the other side. So the left arm comes across, right knee bends. You can start with that forehead on the forearm, reach back, catch the top of the foot or shin, choose to stay here, this yummy thigh stretch, or take it up to any degree that works for you. You don't even have to send the arm out in front of you. You can press into that left forearm and lift. But if you want to, straighten the left arm, push into that left hand, lift the bottom ribs away from the floor, or that's at least the direction you're going. You can stay strong in that left leg, reaching back through the left toes for one more cycle of breath, and then reverse all that. Let it go. Create a pillow with both forearms. Shimmy your hips from side to side. A deep inhale and a deep exhale. We're going to flip onto our backs. So if you need to spin yourself around, do so. Otherwise, just flip yourself over like a pancake. Knees are bent. Windshield wipers here back and forth from side to side. Really kind of press the tailbone down towards the floor as you move back and forth. Nice. So with your feet hips distance apart, reach your arms overhead behind you like you're holding on to an axe handle. Deep inhale here. Exhale, bring the hands forward, reaching through the space between the thighs. Okay. Keep your shoulders off the floor. Draw navel to spine, and then pulse here, dragging your feet towards your sits bones for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take it to the outside of the left leg. Exhale as you come up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take it to the other side. Keep that left shoulder blade off the floor and pulse here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then back to center. So do it the same way or lift your feet off the floor, whichever you prefer, for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. Lower yourself to the floor. Bridge pose from here or supported bridge pose. Push down, rise up. You can always throw a block underneath you, send your legs up towards the ceiling. All of those are encouraged or options, whichever you prefer. And full deep inhales. And full exhales. Okay, if you've got one, slide a block underneath you, either the low setting or the medium setting. Land your feet on the floor. Keep your right foot where it is. Just slide your left leg away towards straight. Let that left thigh bone sink towards the floor. Keep your right knee pointing towards the ceiling. Now, if this is too intense and you have to define where it goes from that into yikes, right? Lower down, straighten the leg, take the block out from underneath. Right? Let's take it to the other side. So rebend the left leg, slide your right heel away from you. One more cycle of breath here. Rebend the knee, lift your hips, remove that block, move it off to the side. Okay. From here, let's, if you want to, take about a minute or so and thread the needle on both sides, okay? So we were doing this without the hands this morning. So I've got right ankle on top of left thigh. If you feel that outer hip space is already open, you have something else in mind, feel free to do that. Otherwise, join me here as you breathe. Any variations you want to take, feel free to take it here, including having a bolster or something underneath your hips. Whenever you're ready, let's take it to the other side. You can bicycle pedal that leg out, whatever feels good to you. Left ankle on top of right thigh. Drop a knee in. Any variations you did on the other side, consider doing now here. For one more inhale. And one more exhale. Go ahead and release that right leg, bicycle pedal it out. You'll straighten that left leg away from you, hug that right knee in towards your right armpit for a final twist. Sweep that right knee across your body, bump your hips to the left, spill over on, bump your hips to the right. Right knee comes across the body, spill over onto that left hip, and breathe. Deep inhales and deep exhales. One more cycle of breath here. Let that breath go. Come back to center, switch it out. Right leg straightens away from you, hug the left knee in toward your left armpit. Deep inhale here, exhale, sweep that left knee across your body, spill over onto your right hip, bump your hips to the left. You want to feel this twist throughout the spine, throughout the body, right? If it's kind of pooling up in one place, breathe into that place. See if you can open it up like you're moving a rock out of the path of some water, and then let that twist kind of flow into the rest of your body stream. Nice, guys. Let's take one more inhale here. And one more exhale. Anything final you want to do here? Otherwise, just hugging your knees in toward your chest. Give yourself a squeeze and embrace. And then let yourself drop down and towards the floor. Props underneath you or props on top of you. Sometimes nice to take a bolster or block, place them on top of you to get that sense of grounding down, that sense of permanence, that sense of this final seat, this final asana, your shavasana, right? This idea that we stay here, remain in this last pose. Beautiful, guys. Begin to bring a little bit of awareness back in the body, wiggling the fingers, the toes, the wrists, and the ankles. If it feels right, reach your arms overhead behind you, stretch from tip to tip, get nice and long as you point through the toes, drive through the heels. In your own manner, fashion, and time, without shaking up the snow globe, make your way up towards the seated position that feels good to you here and now. Sitting tall, once you arrive in this seat, bringing your palms to touch in front of your heart, lift your heart, drop your chin in towards your chest, seal in your practice. Thank yourself for showing up on your mat, your fellow yogis for sharing this space. I thank you guys always for coming out, for setting a little bit of time off to honor yourselves and your practice. Take this in the rest of your day and shine it upon those who come into contact with. Light and life in me honors and recognizes light and life in you. Namaste. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of the day.